Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Gray Area here on the Black Mountain Unfiltered Network, also simulcasting on the Sparta HQ Network. I'm Mr. Bennett, joined by my partner, as always,
This is Sparta!
the Ghost of Sparta, aka Peter, aka Panayotis. Yasu, my brother, what is going on?
What is going on, my man? How are you tonight?
I'm okay, just trying to endure the blizzard. I mean, I was walking my dog earlier. It's snowing sideways. So again, for those of you who are not in the Northeast, we are in the middle of a nor'easter. So they're expecting 1 to 2 feet in my area. So we're just bracing for it, just making sure that we had supplies and everything else. So yeah, so we getting hit again. Just got over a storm a few weeks ago, and now we got another one coming through. So just trying to ride it out.
And we're supposed to have another storm on Wednesday, they're saying now, too.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully the cold won't stay with us the way it did last time. So
Yeah, that's what I was saying. But I'm going to go, before we start the show, I want to go back memory lane a little bit for a minute here.
Sure.
All right. I was able to go to the store over the weekend and pick something up that you may recognize it, but you never played it, probably, because I know you haven't been in gaming for a while.
right.
So let's see how many of you guys remember this sucker right here.
Okay.
Like,
That is an actual PS2, or is it like an emulator for PS2?
no, a legit PS2.
Yeah, no, because I know they come out with those emulators, especially for the older gaming systems like Sega Genesis, but it has like 200 games in it. I mean, it's like
So
a
the only
whole lot.
real elementer for systems that I've made officially is the not PS, PS1, the Super Nintendo, and the Nintendo. Those are the only three of real element produced by a company that actually made the systems.
Mhm.
Everything else is being like third parties has made. So you kind of throwing the dice out there, say hopefully it works, hopefully it doesn't, if that makes sense.
Right. Gotcha. Now that's
Yeah.
interesting. That's an interesting.
And actually,
Uh,
believe it or not, I actually I did want to go through the hassle pulling the 85-inch and hook up all the wires, because you need a converter to actually play these.
oh, that's right, because this is before HD. This is before, so it was still component
AV.
or composite connections. So yeah, you're gonna have
This sucker's AV, bro. The three colors. If you remember, the red, white, and blue. Yeah, the red, white, and blue. The AVs.
Yeah, that's a composite.
Is it?
Component,
Okay.
yeah, component was the next level up. That was the red, green, and blue, and then they started coming out with the HD and stuff later on. So yeah,
Yeah.
so you're
So I
talking.
had to get a little
from that
converter
period.
because I have a Super Nintendo and a 64, and I just literally plug those in and forget everything else. Very
Mhm.
simple.
Yeah.
But because I didn't want to pull the 85-inch. It's not hard. It's on a mount that goes left to right and goes straight out. But
Mhm.
I haven't game on this 49-inch monitor, and it's gaming monitor technically. And honestly, it wasn't bad, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
And I thought it was gonna hurt my eyes because the old gaming style is different. It played pretty smooth for a 20-year-old system, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of
No,
surprised
no,
me.
it's certainly if you're a nostalgic gamer, who wants to, I would ask before we get into the show, what is your favorite gaming system? Meaning, not the most technically advanced, not all the bells and whistles, but the one you just enjoyed the most. What gave you the most pleasure out? And this for the chat also. If you're an old school gamer, if you played a lot of different consoles, what system you probably enjoy? I would probably say NES because again, a lot of the titles, me and Eric used to be at his house gaming and whatnot. And certainly that was really up there in terms of consoles. I'm not even going to go computer games, but certainly the NES is probably my favorite because again, that's kind of how my coming of age with that particular system. So it's not the best, it's not the greatest, but it's certainly one that I had a lot of fun with. What would you
So
say?
I would say it's top three. I don't have a favorite because I like all of them at different times. The Super Nintendo I liked because if there were more advanced games, but I didn't get a chance to enjoy it because I moved to Greece. Second place is going to be the 64 because the 64 was the era I got into gaming hard because
Mhm.
I actually had money. I was working in school. Not working. I was working and I was making my own money so I can buy my own games. The third system, it was this sucker right here, the PS2,
Yeah,
because they gave me
yeah.
some really cool games. God of War is one of them. Devil May Cry, Metal Gear Solid 2, and it just goes on and on. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to Braxton Steak Fiend. Yes, you only get one choice. Now I know Peter's trying to rank them, but I say if you had to, if for the rest of your life, if you had to choose one, Or not even. I wouldn't even say that because again, you like I said, you may appreciate the later systems, but I'm talking about the one that you had the most fun on, the one that because I think now it's almost hard to impress people anymore, right? I mean, it's like
Mhm.
now they're up here 6, 7, whatever they come out with, it's gonna
PS5 right now.
it's like the iPhones, right? iPhone 15 versus iPhone 17 is like, is it that much better? But
Mhm.
back in the day, you were making like big jumps in terms of you went from 8-bit to 16-bit. So it was always this advancement that you saw. It's like, wow, this is really cool. Now it's hard to impress people anymore. So that's why I'm saying your favorite. So again, the N64 certainly was his favorite. Eric saying it's a hard question because again, yeah, they all did. That's why we asked the tough questions on this show.
So it
So
really depends on the
yes,
generation
yep,
you're in too, because the
yeah,
64 and the PS2 came out about the same time.
right,
So it's kind of hard to pick those because they both were heavy competitors. Like people, you also can use the Xbox or the Dreamcast. Uh, they weren't Sega wasn't really a competitor at the time. They fell off. They
mhm,
were literally on survivor mode, you know, and the Xbox was so new. They didn't have any exclusive. Whatever you played on PS2, you're probably going to get on play Xbox. It's maybe one or two games. Like Splinter Cell was first released on the Xbox. Halo, and that's only two games I can think off my head.
mhm,
But it depends what you're into. I was always more in a PlayStation fan because I
right,
really did enjoy the games a lot more. Um, their exclusives are so good. It's but back then also I was really into the Nintendo 64 games, Smash Brothers. I mean, it was my pod racing. A lot of Zelda. There you go, right there. A
there we
Crown
go.
Jewel. It's Mario 64, and the list goes on and on.
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, again, we didn't want to go off a tangent there. Just came to our mind. I just want to ask him,
Oops.
especially since he brought the fact that he wrote a PS2 game, so that got me kind of reminiscing a little bit. Maybe save some of that. We got to show the hangout where we talk about old school shows, games, and all that. So again, maybe we can bring that up on another show on
Oh
the
yeah, of
hangout
course.
on
I was
the
actually thinking
Smart
about
HQ
that.
network. And
Yeah.
so yeah, we can definitely chop it up then. But again, just make sure again when you come in tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, make sure you hit the like button both here and hop on over to the Sparta HQ network and certainly show some love there for his channel. And also, you see scrolling at the bottom of the screen, you have certainly anything you want to give to the Black Men Unfiltered Network, certainly Cash App, Super Chat. You see the Cash App scrolling at the bottom of the screen, and anything that you want to give to us, you can certainly give certainly to our network as well, to our individual Cash Apps that is scrolling on the bottom of the screen. But yeah, man, let's get into this a little bit. So, what is your initial thought? We talking about rings, especially wedding rings, engagement rings, and just that whole business. Last week we talked about Valentine's Day, and this is almost like an extension of the conversation. So we talked
Mhm.
about Valentine's Day. Is it about romance, or is it just a big rip off? It's just a money making. It's just a a capital thing. But what about wedding rings? Because I certainly have some personal stories. Certainly when it comes to that, and I've certainly when I've lost my wedding ring. I lost it about 10 years ago, and up to this date, I haven't replaced it yet. I've gone back and forth with whether or not to replace it or not. But just your general thought on wedding rings and engagement rings. Just if you just want to have an opening statement on that, how do you feel about the subject?
I think it's kind of a bit of a must at this point in the world we live in. I'm not saying you have to get a high end one like 10, 20 grand. I'm saying just a plain band. I think it's a little must kind of give you somebody's. I know at least when I'm speaking to a female, the first thing I check is her hands to see if she's married or not.
Same. I used to do it when I was dating. Yeah. I don't know. I ain't gonna lie. I looked at the body first, okay, in the face, and then I looked at the hand. So she had a ring on it. So that was from back in the day for sure.
Yes, you're right about that. The body's number one. Obviously, I'm gonna
Body's number
check it
one.
out.
Oh, so
I'm not
you're
gonna
like
waste
me. See, some people are face people. Or body people. I'm a body first, then the
my time.
face, then the ring. Some people are face first. They want a pretty face, or me. I was always give me the hot body, and we can deal with the face later on. But I'll take the body over the face every time.
So yes, the body has something to do with it. I'm not denying that. The face, it has to be a combination of package here.
It does,
And
and I'm not talking about extremes. I'm not talking about she don't have to be what do you call a butter face. I mean, she don't have to be she don't have to be ugly. I'm just saying, if you gave me a choice, I'd rather a better body and an average face. I'll say that, an average face and a hot body versus a pretty face and an average body. I think I'll take the body over that, but that's just me.
So it's a combination with me, like I said. So once I establish, yes, I'm attracted to her. I gotta see, she has a ring on me. I don't want to waste my time if she's married. But a lot of people are not wearing their rings like they used to.
Mhm.
My rule when I was engaged is like, yo, yeah, your ring better not be coming off because I paid way too much money. And B, this is my way of saying she's my property, get the hell away, kind of thing. Not literally my property. It's a little joke.
It's great.
There's a little inside joke, all right?
Okay.
Like, she's off the market, in other words.
I got you.
Yeah. So, but I seen you wear those not the bands, like those workout rings.
Well, and we're gonna talk about that as we get into the topic. So.
But it's like at least in the Orthodox Church, it is a must. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't want to wear in my line of work, definitely, and this is where I become the bad guy at work, is the health department requires you to wear only plain bands, and women have an issue with that. The diamonds are very easy to break off. Yes. I literally just had a conversation 10 minutes ago with somebody saying, oh, but you wear gloves. Yeah, I wear gloves, but those gloves are thin. They break off. If the diamond breaks off, even the small ones, sometimes you have those small ones going around, that's a choke hazard and a half.
Mhm.
So that's why we only allow plain bands and in any kitchen in the United States.
Mhm.
So I just want to throw that little bonus out there.
I got you. Now, Eric, again, I get it. The brain, look, you got to have an initial tracker to get you over there. I'm saying the body and the average face is going to get me there so I can find out if she has a brain. But I can't read her brain from 20 feet away. So I'm just saying that we're talking about initial attraction and what kind of gets you there that you even want to talk to a person first. But I certainly get your point. And obviously that's going to be important that you have any depth. But I wanted to sort of give a sort of a history of rings. And what's interesting is because, again, it was even in the conversation we had last week, that I see, especially with a lot of Christian people, they can get very dogmatic when it comes to things like holidays or certain traditions or certain symbols and whatnot, and they get very territorial to say, oh, well, anything that is of what they would label, and I don't even like the word as much anymore, but what they would label of a pagan origin, they automatically have a problem with it. And they then want to kind of get on this island saying, well, we shouldn't be doing these things because of their pagan origin. But when I dug deeper into rings, certainly for the Christian people, there's no mention of wedding rings. Now, there's rings in the Bible, but usually rings is about high-end people, kings and whatnot. They had like signet rings that signified their power and things of that nature. The prodigal son, when he came back, the father said, hey, put my ring on his finger and whatnot, signifying his status in the family and all that. Yeah, but as far as wedding rings, it's not even in the Bible. But you have a lot of people who, think that they're so essential. And I'm not saying they're not important. I'm not saying they're not tokens of affection or love or your intent. I'm not saying any of those things. But when you look into the history of rings, if you want to cancel Valentine's Day because of its pagan origin, or some of the things with Easter, things, with the bunnies and the eggs and all that kind of stuff because of pagan origin, well, then you probably need to sell your wedding ring then, because the history and background of that is very pagan, or certainly doesn't come from a Christian tradition. And so, but certainly things have been adopted. I mean, the Bible doesn't say not to wear one. So my thing has always been, when it comes to things, if the Bible's silent on something, like if it doesn't have like a hard prohibition against something, or if it says that it's for something, then I leave it up to the individual. It's personal choice and personal preference in terms of what you decide to do. But so many people, they can get real anal when it comes to certain things that they may see, and it's like, oh, this is, we shouldn't be doing these things. But again, if you look at what the whole concept behind rings and what they meant, they do come from traditions that are not from a Christian base. And then also, there's also a marketing aspect of it, and you get to this where it is today, where I think things are just getting out of hand when it comes to the price of rings, the demands that are put by women a lot of times on how much they want for a ring. And I got a story to share later on
No, don't
after
remind
I
me.
kind of go through this, that I know someone person who was bold enough to even share this with me. That just sort of blew me away. Shout out to Lost in Translation, the Bill tonight. Good to see you tonight. But let's go into this. Let's do a deep dive into the history of the wedding ring. Like I said, you won't find it in the Bible, but it predates histories and cultures before then. So, the first thing here, again, the first people to introduce rings were the Egyptians, right? So again, the whole idea of the ring was that it was supposed to represent eternity, and said the Egyptians also thought that the open space in the middle of the ring represented a gateway to the unknown. So we got the whole idea of rings came from the Egyptians. This was an African tradition where wedding rings come from. There was no mandate. There was no mandate for folks to have rings, but it started with the Egyptians. And then interesting here come your side of it, Pete. So after that, you had Alexander the Great. Certainly a figure that you're very familiar with. When Alexander the Great conquered the Egyptians, the Greeks adopted the tradition of giving rings to their lovers to represent devotion. Many of these rings depicted Eros or Cupid, the god of love. And again, they began using iron and copper in marriage ceremonies. By the 2nd century, though, most of the rings were made of gold. So it started with the Egyptians. Then when Alexander the Great, because you even said this yourself, one of the things that Alexander the Great was known for was he didn't wipe you out. He allowed you to keep a lot of your traditions and whatnot. And he even took this tradition and he incorporated that into the Greek Empire. So you have that going on. And then from the Greeks, you get to the Romans. And so again, the ancient Egyptians also, and there's another thing that also came from the Egyptians. Ancient Egyptians believed that the forefinger, so again, your ring finger on the left hand contained a vena amoris or vein of love that led directly to the heart. The Romans adopted this belief and wore wedding rings on their finger. Although their belief isn't anatomically correct, their tradition of wearing rings on the ring finger continues to this day. So all the things we know about wedding rings and whatnot, that came from the Romans, then the Greeks, and then the Egyptians, the Greeks, and then the Romans. Right. So again, for those who want to say, oh, we should stay away from pagan practices or whatever, or people want to criticize something because it came from a pagan origin, then sell your wedding ring. Because again, it wasn't until later that the church even started adopting the idea of rings. But again, it didn't start certainly with the Bible or anything else. Now, again, how did wedding rings evolve? Again, you talk about the medieval and Renaissance times. That started in medieval times. Wedding rings began to set precious gems. Medieval Europeans used rubies to symbolize passion, sapphires to symbolize heavens, and diamonds to symbolize steadfast strength. So it started to pick up in the medieval era. When did women start to wear diamond wedding rings? Again, now you're starting to get first of the oldest one goes back to 300 BC or before Christ. Or before the Common Era is what they do today. The first recorded diamond ring dates back to the late 1300s or early 1400s when it was left by an English widow in her will. A poem about the 1475 wedding of two Italian socialites. Two wills, two hearts, two passions are bonded in one marriage by a diamond. The first famous diamond engagement ring was given in 1477 by Archduke Maximilian of Austria to Mary of Burgundy. All right, so now it starts to kind of come into vogue. When did engagement rings and wedding rings become two separate rings? So again, going back to medieval England, and I'll just summarize because I don't want to read all this. Up until the 8th century, you would basically give a ring which was called a wed, and that's why you have the word wedding. And basically, when you gave that ring, it was basically you would give it as a pledge to the one you're married to. But the problem started to happen was confusion about the legitimacy of weddings were common. However, since the clergymen weren't required to be present at the wedding, one or both the couple could later deny that a wedding had taken place. Now, here's where the church comes in, because thus in the 12th century, the Christian church declared that marriage to be a holy sacrament and established a church ceremony. Rings were part of the ceremony, and it became a rule that a man should not, that no man should place any type of ring on a woman's hand unless it meant getting married. It is possible that two different types of rings emerged when the church codified marriage: the more personal engagement ring and the church sanction ring. So they started to mandate that rings had to be given within the marriage ceremony itself, and that started in the 12th century. Now you're getting into more modern times. When did men start wearing wedding rings? Well, again, up until the past century, wedding rings were mostly given to women, although the Christian church promoted exchanging wedding rings as a way of keeping men faithful. Again, during dual rings only caught on in World War II, when American and English soldiers wore wedding rings as a way to remember their wives and sweethearts back home. So even with men wearing wedding rings, it wasn't until last century that it really started to come on. But usually it was the woman who got the ring. The exchange of the rings happened very late in the timeline of rings. And then again, how did diamond engagement rings become such a tradition? And now this is where the marketing comes in, because you had this company, all right, in the 30s and the 40s. You had this South African company, De Beers, right? At one time, they owned 60% of the diamond market. All right. So they in the depression of the 30s, they launched this campaign that promoted wedding rings, engagement rings, and diamond engagement rings in particular, because again, they were diamond merchants. And certainly it really caught on in the 50s. De Beers introduced an advertising campaign, a diamond is forever. And Marilyn Monroe famously said, again, diamonds are a girl's best friend. It became a household phrase. So what we know today about the cost of rings, the value which you should pay for a ring, all that came up through marketing and advertising, and De Beers was the company that was behind it. Now, again, the idea of how much you spend on a ring also changed. But before we get there, okay, so again, the whole idea, a lot of people didn't even have, prior to the 40s, you didn't give a diamond ring. That was kind of high society. So again, prior to the 1930s, presenting a woman with a diamond engagement ring was not the norm. On the eve of World War II, a mere 10% of engagement rings contained diamonds. By the end of the 20th century, over 80% did. So I remember a ring used to be an heirloom. So a guy would take like his grandmother's or his great grandmother's engagement ring and give it to the bride to be as an heirloom, and to kind of keep that family structure. But then it started to change with all the marketing. They started to say that no, you should want more. You should get a diamond. And that whole idea, I mean, today, man, imagine today if you had your great grandmother, she had a ring. Imagine you that trying to give that to a fiance. How many women would even accept that if you tried to give an heirloom as an engagement ring or a wedding ring for that matter? So again, yeah. So again, the marketing that started with De Beers. Now again, they're also the ones that started saying that in the 30s, they said that De Beers campaign, a single month's salary was suggested to spend on the ring. Now, in the 1980s, it became 2 months, and that is still prevalent today. One advert, a woman pouting, a scarf, a finger, a diamond, and the words 2 months salary showed future Mrs. Smith what the future would look like. And you want to take a look at those campaigns, there they are. All right. This is all De Beers. And basically what they were basically saying is it your woman worth 2 months of your salary if you want to make her your wife? And so this became the thing in the 80s. And that's why, again, the sizes of the rings got bigger and the expectations got bigger. And women were like, look, that ring is too small, or that diamond is too small, or how much you spend on it. Whereas back in the day, it didn't matter. The important thing was getting married, or that a person wanted to marry you. not the size of the engagement ring. But in the 80s, it really took off. And it was like, if you were serious about marrying someone, and there were even channels, even, Kevin Samuels, all these, guys talking about, if a guy's serious about marrying you, he's going to give you a ring of a certain carat and really put a lot into it. And so, again, this became, this high society type of standard. And this is just minor because you got these celebrities and whatnot. They're spending $300,000-$400,000 on a ring, and the marriage doesn't even last a year. So all of this, where does it start today? So it started as a pagan tradition that over time got adopted by the church, and it's kind of been incorporated into the church. But a lot of what drives it is these marketing campaigns by these diamond merchants. And I don't want to even talk about how these diamonds are harvested or how they were harvested in the future. That's a whole nother subject about that. Check out that movie Black Diamonds. But that's a whole nother issue.
I've seen Blood Diamonds.
Blood diamonds. Thank you. But the idea is that, again, how many people have lost their lives trying to extract these stones for the wealthy and for their benefit. But all of this is marketing. And so we come to it today where you got women who will turn down a ring if it's not big enough or it's not cool enough, but they have to have so much say and control over the ring itself. But so they work, just like a lot of them focus so much on the wedding, they focus on the ring, but how many are focusing on the marriage? And so this is kind of where we're at, with this whole thing. Now, again, speaking of engagement rings, I just want to give us some where the law says, because again, an engagement ring is generally considered to be a sort of like a promissory note. In that, again, if when you get married, she keeps it. But in most states, if you do not get married, the situation requires that you must give the ring back. So you see the states and territories, the ones in green are the ones where it's law that for whatever reason, if the engagement gets broken off, that you have to give the ring back. In the red states, again, there's no established legal precedent. In Montana, there's no rule saying if you give the engagement ring and if it doesn't go anywhere, then you are under no obligation to give it back. And then in some states, if the recipient ends the engagement, give it back. So let's say if you gave it a ring, but then you stepped out on her or something like that, she can keep the ring. But or if she decides that she doesn't want to marry you, she has to give it back. But if you decide to break it off or you do something stupid, then you don't have to give it back. So these are the laws that are currently outstanding where, depending on where you live, be very careful if you get that engagement ring. If you're in the green states, you have a case where you can get the ring back regardless of the situation and how the engagement ended. But these are the laws as of 2026 by World Population Review. And the last thing I just want to show, so again, talk about the history of rings and the marketing behind it and whatnot. Now, again, I lost my ring about 10 years ago, and this was the ring. All right. So again, this is about my wedding photo. And the guys who made it, the jewelers, they're not even in business anymore. There was a couple that we knew. They had a small jeweler, and we went there. And really, the first ring we saw was my wife's wedding ring. And then they built the other two rings, both the engagement ring with the diamond cut and my ring. They kind of crafted that. They made molds, and they made the ring. But again, I don't have it anymore. And so for some, obviously I was upset that I lost it. It was kind of like I was a bit careless with how I lost it. But just over time, I was starting to I always said to myself, well, I'll replace it. But then the more I looked at it, I'm like, do I really want to replace it? I mean, it's almost to a degree, it's irreplaceable. It's part of the ceremony. And yeah, I could wear it, but it wouldn't be that ring. So the more I think about it, the more I'm thinking, no, maybe I won't replace it over time, because I think it's not replaceable. Even if I can get those guys to craft the ring exactly the way it was before, it still wouldn't be the same ring. So, but again, my devotion to my wife, and again, we're ending season 29. March 29, we'll end season 29, going to season 30. I feel just as committed to my wife, just as married as I've always been. And so it's not a thing. It's it becomes less important to me. But again, so many people put so much stock in wedding rings and designing them and having all these features on them and whatnot. But again, I value her more than any ring. And to this day, I do wear, so to the point that you were saying earlier, I started wearing rings that I don't necessarily have to take off. So I started wearing a lot of the rubberized rings. And so I just started getting them. They had different colors and whatnot. And I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. I can start to accessorize a lot of my rings based on what I wear. And it just became a sort of a collection that I put together over time. So this is my ring collection. All right. So I got a ring for almost every.
Damn.
I got a ring for almost every occasion. But the total cost of all these rings was probably no more than $150. I really don't spend a ton on it. For a time, I actually wore a sink washer. I just wore that just to have something because I didn't want my ring finger to be naked when we were out. I got a couple more hardcore rings here. This one, I think one of them has like spinners on it, like I can kind of spin it a little bit. But again, it really depends. If I want to go with an all black, again, this is a black ring, but again, it's rubberized. So again, I can work out with it. I can, no, I don't worry about washing my hands and taking it off. Like I said, this one here, this one, again, the middle of it, it spins, so I can kind of spin it. So, just whatever I felt like. If it's cool, I pick it up. But I mean, but this is this is kind of my ring collection. So yeah, I mean, am I still married? I think so. But for a lot of people, they put so much precedence into the engagement ring and the wedding ring and whatnot. They put so much precedent on that, the materialism of it, but there's no substance behind it. And so, so that's kind of where I am with it. I don't think it really matters. I don't care. Look, you can get a ring out of a Cracker Jack box, as far as I'm concerned. And as long as you guys are like if you guys are going to be ride or die, then be ride or die, and then all that other stuff can come later. But I'm kind of over it in terms of that. And again, for a lot of guys, if you are thinking about marrying someone, and if she's talking more about the ring, bless you. If she's talking more about the ring than not, then maybe she's not the one. She's not the one for you. But what are your thoughts? So I talked about it a lot. So if you want to talk about again the history,
yeah, I have a lot to say
Greeks,
too.
the Romans, and all that kind of stuff. So go at it. You can take it from here.
So I don't think now that I'm older and a little wiser and more grayer, I don't think the ring it has much to do with the loyalty and the love of the other half, because I learned my lesson the hard way about that. So I told you guys before on the show, and I told you in private, I was engaged before, and my first engagement I did not spend for a ring. My second engagement I did. The reason I didn't get the first one because it was short lived. It was literally before, as fast as we got engaged, as fast as it ended, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So the second one, I said, when I said to myself after the first one ended, when I find the right one, I'm going all out. It's going to do the first one really wasn't engaged. I didn't get on one knee or anything like that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like we're looking to like, we've been together for a while. Don't we just like, get the next level? Hey, sure, why not? Something like that. So the second one, I did it the correct way. Like I knew I wanted to be with her. I knew I was in love with her. I knew everything. So I went to the store, bought a ring. Oh, if I tell you how much money I spent on a ring, you're probably gonna throw your shoe at me right now.
Well, just say how much. Again, did you follow the De Beers rule? Again, 2 months salary, or sometimes 3 months salary. I mean, was it
20K? Yeah. So don't throw your shoe at me, please.
Wow. Nah, I mean, look, I don't pocket watch. You guys know me. I don't pocket watch. What you decide to spend on, what you decide to spend on. But I'm just saying, for me and my value set, if that was a condition, then I would certainly have some concerns. But again, if you got the bread, if you got, if that's what you want to do, it's your money. Now, if you ask me, I'll give you my opinion. But that's your call, bro.
It was stupid spending that much money on a ring. I'll be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
It should have been like, if I had to pick a number, Like everybody I talk to, like most people I see spend them. They're about like between 5, maybe 10 grand tops. Nothing more than that.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it should be around that marketplace. But I went all in. I jumped in head first. I wanted the best for her. I wanted top of line for her. Everything then. So when I went out to K Jewelers, and they can customize the ring the way you want it there.
Yeah.
And because they gave me a big discount too, because it was my first time buyer, first time engagement, first time this, open an account with them. It was like everything you can think of, I opened up to get a discount. And I did save a good amount of money too. Definitely got insurance on it. Gentlemen, get insurance on the ring. You never know what can happen. Those damn diamonds. And for the longest time, every time she took her ring off, I used to flip out. Like, yo, why is your ring off? Oh, I'm doing this. I'm doing laundry or whatever. This is before I found out she was cheating on me too.
Mm.
So to me, it was more about the symbolization of my love for her on the ring.
Mhm.
Because I put my time and effort, my hard work, money, everything to have it. Like it was a symbol for me, if that makes sense at the time. Yes, the ring it should be on, but it's not end of the world if she takes it off.
Mhm.
Like in the Greek Orthodox church, when you get engaged, you go through a whole ceremony, not like a wedding, but it was probably somewhere like a bless the
Right.
engagement. And usually both wear at least if you can't wear a woman can wear a diamond ring, a man and woman wear at least a plain band.
Mhm.
Usually.
Mhm.
And she, I got myself, we got a plain band. When I used to work out, I used to take my ring off and put it in my gym bag.
Right.
It was painful to work with that damn thing on.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, that's why I went to initially to the rubber silicone type of ring because flexible and you're right, and it's not going to get damaged when you're working out. So
yeah. So mine was like a plain like we didn't spend a lot of money. I think it was like $150 tops. Nothing crazy. $150. Nothing crazy. Because I knew when the actual wedding happened, the real ring would be more valuable and everything. But the biggest thing I did wrong was when we broke up. I could have taken that ring back and I didn't, because I thought we were breaking up for different reasons. I thought we were breaking up because we couldn't have kids. Need to find out later on she really was cheating on me the whole time and she just wanted to jump ship. So making sure the price is right is number one. Something to make sure you know who you're buying the ring for is definitely a keeper. Like in your case, your wife was a keeper when you married her, right?
Yeah.
So that's why in this market with women, it's kind of hard too. Let's be honest, Paul. When you're dating is Russian roulette. You don't know what you're getting really till you put some time and effort into it.
Right.
So getting the ring, I don't think you should get engagement. Again, I know we may disagree on this, Paul, is a minimum a year. A minimum a year. I think it's more than that now these days in 2026.
Well, for most people, it's multi-year engagements. I don't believe in long engagements. I think when you give an engagement ring, it is basically you're making a promise to marry within a year. So again, with planning, it can take up to a year, but again, by 1 year from this point on, we're going to be married. At least that's the way I went into it. I wasn't going to be engaged for 3, 4, and 5 years, and I've known people like that, and I've also known people that again you break up. Because I think, over time, you just think, well, the longer you delay it, it's more like, well, we got to get married. We're engaged. We're a couple or whatever. You got a ring on your finger, whatnot. I mean, what are you complaining for? But again, marriage is not saying until you go all the way through with it. Again, engagements are a dime a dozen. At least certainly with in my community, Black women, a lot of them get engaged. Few are still make it to the altar. Because again, it's you're not necessarily focused on the right things. Well, a lot of people think, well, I'll give you a ring to kind of keep you, but they still don't have necessarily a commitment to marry. That sometimes guys will give a ring to think, okay, well, this will kind of keep you quiet for a while, whatnot before bringing it up. But there's no intention to marry, and so but guys will just do it just to keep things as they are because generally guys like things status quo. We kind of like things the way they are. And but again, that doesn't work. I think long term. So really, yeah, I wouldn't push it out more than a year. And again, if you're talking about you're trying to, and that's another thing on wedding, we can have another show on weddings because I don't think you should be spending necessarily six figures on a wedding either.
Oh, I
I
agree
said
on that.
I remember I think I shared the story. I went to renew my my dog license at the municipal building, and you had two weddings that were about to take place. One was a Latino couple, and one was like an Indian, might have been a Trinidadian Guyanese family or whatnot. The marriage license $150. Paid $150. Here's your license. One of the township officials went into the court, the room where they have their meetings and whatnot. Wed them right there. Boom, game over. I'm not saying you have to go to that extreme, but I just thought it was so cool that these people now, not waiting 10 years to save up for a six-figure wedding and all these accoutrements, and they just said, look, let's just get married, let's do this thing, and I love that. That people are, or put your money is much more well invested in something else, save that money to buy a home or some other investment of some kind. At least that's my view. Again, you do what you want with your money. But again, extravagant weddings or overpaying for wedding rings or whatever to kind of show your love or to prove your love to somebody. Again, I'm asking the question, who taught you that? Where did that come from? And I hope we all see tonight where it came from. That came from De Beers, a South African diamond merchant that launched a massive campaign that said, if you truly love her, you'll spend about 2 months' salary on a wedding ring if you truly love her. So again, but it was all about lining their pockets. It wasn't about the facts on the ground. But it's just amazing how the power of marketing is. And again, those ads again got women thinking because women are the consumers. And so when it started getting into their mind, it's like, yeah, you know what, I am worth 2 months. And then you start having these demands to the point now. And I remember back in the day, I'm sure generations ago, and again, for you guys who are older, if you have older parents or whatever, did you go shopping for your rings? Now, my wife and I, we went shopping for our rings. I'm talking about older generations. The ring you got was basically the ring you got. But now it's like people want to go and they want to design the rings and whatnot. So I'm like, what's left to do? You kind of taking the surprise out of it. You kind of, yeah, we're going to get married or whatever. We're thinking about it. And yeah, we're going to go to a jeweler and he's going to design our rings for us. So where's the surprise? Where's the ambiance of proposing? Because you already know what you're getting. It's like, imagine if you kind of got your Christmas list already. You already know what you're getting already. So like, where's the suspense? But again, most guys today wouldn't dare just give a ring. And I got a story to talk about that as well, where a guy just gave a ring, and let's just say it didn't go well.
I personally disagree about, hey, I'm gonna marry you. Let's go design your ring. No, it doesn't work like that. You get the ring I choose for you. End of story. If you don't like it, then you're not for me. End of story.
Yeah.
If you don't
Shout
like
out to my guy Shawnee Pete. Shawnee, he's on our 1-on-1 sports show on Black Men Unfiltered Network. So again, Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Black Men Unfiltered Network. Shawnee, Dante, the coach, the crew, 1-on-1 sports. But again, thank you for chiming in tonight. Appreciate you showing up tonight. Sorry, go ahead.
So no, you're good. I don't agree with that one bit. You should be able to just go design yourself like I did, and most likely you did too, Paul, if I'm mistaken.
We went, like I said, we went to the jeweler. We were, like I said, we were by I'd say a couple months in. So we started dating in May. By the summer, around July, we were kind of like, yeah, I think it's going in that direction. And then I didn't care because I didn't have an heirloom to give or whatever. So it's like, what kind of ring are you looking at? And she wasn't sure. And so we went to it again, this couple that we knew. They had a small jewelry shop in Union, and we just went up there and they just started, picking out some things for us and whatnot. And so, like that. So she liked the diamond cut, I forget the
Princess cut?
No, it's not the princess. It's the long, the vertical one, like the long cut. I'll think about it in a minute. But again, we kind of did, and then we left, and then we didn't talk about it anymore. But it was just I just wanted to kind of get a sense of what she would like, more so than anything. But it wasn't like, okay, yeah, because I proposed 3 months later. So, and obviously coming up with, the money, I didn't spend like you did 20,000, but I put a decent, I put a decent price on it. But again, you were just looking for some ideas, but she didn't know exactly certainly the range that we were going to get. And
So
that was
in
it.
my
But
case,
yeah.
the only thing she ever cared about is she didn't care how much the ring was. Just get a ring because she was married twice before. So the first one, she never got a ring because it didn't last more than a few months because she got, divorced. And the second time, hey, what's going on, dude? And the second one was it wasn't a great marriage. So she got, she never had a ring. So I want to make it special for her. That was one big thing about that. So when I did get it, she didn't care it was $150 ring or a jacket pocket. But I knew she wasn't. I knew she wouldn't be happy if it was cheap. I knew that for a fact because I knew her style. She always had a very expensive taste and everything. So it was a princess cut with diamonds around it with white gold. I know she always talked about white gold, so I had an idea what she was in it. So when I got it, the only hiccup we had with her ring when she put it on, it was a little bit too small, so I had to get resized. So, oops, I'm not perfect either. You know what I'm saying? And like my last thought was sizing it because I was getting all the design, the ring, the money, and everything. That was
Oh, Marquise. That was the cut that we got.
okay.
The Marquise cut. Yeah.
And so where like I said earlier, what I did wrong is one, I spent way too much money on the ring, and B, I didn't get my ring back. So
yeah,
lesson learned the hard way.
Right?
And I've been called stupid multiple times about this story. So
that's
you
right.
can go ahead and
So guys, again, know the laws in your state. If most states, I would say, the condition is if you do not get married for any reason, the engagement ring goes back to the one who gave it. That's the law. Now, in some instances, it's if she decides not to get married, she has to give it back. But if you break it off, she doesn't have to give it back. And in some cases, in certain states like DC, the law is a bit ambiguous and can get messy. But in New Jersey, PA, if you're in those areas, that is the law. So again, if you want your ring back and you're in a state where that is mandatory, don't be afraid to pursue that because that is a lot of money that you invested. And now for you, Pete, I don't know. I think statute of limitations is I think it's like 7 years. So you might be past the statute of limitations to even try to. If I knew you a few years ago, I would have said, yeah, man, go get your ring back. But for 20K. But that's
I wouldn't be able to get it back. I found out down the road she redesigned it, the whole thing. So she took it to the jeweler and redid it, the whole half of it. I'm like, God damn, like you are a greedy gold digger too. You're not just a gold digger, you're a greedy gold digger.
Wow. Hey, can you just keep sharing your story? I'll be right back in 1 minute. I just gotta let the dog out. Be right back.
Yeah, you're good. So pretty much the story here, this saying, don't buy a ring and give it away. Learn the lesson the hard way. So the ring shouldn't be a symbolization of how much, because to me that's a gold digger part of it. It should be more represents the love. If you want to go the ring route, if she tells you no, I'm good, peace out, and she doesn't like the ring, she's not worth your time or effort. Just move on. I know it's gonna suck and it's gonna hurt at the time, but sometimes if she's not accepting the ring you picked out for her, it's better just move on. It's gonna hurt, I'm not denying that, but it's better than spending 20K like I did, and I have the palm of my hand to work with now.
Yeah. It's that is the epitome of what they say, the cautionary tale of who you decide to get engaged to, how much you're going to spend on it. And I would certainly like to shout out Pop Culture Warrior. I proposed to my wife after knowing her for 6 months. I got her a cheap ring, and she was so happy. Yeah, I mean, is she for you or is she for what you think you can buy her? And I think those are things that are important when picking a life partner. Is she willing to go on the journey with you? But I mean, what happens? You can put all that money out and you're selling your lifestyle, you're selling what you can do, but what happens if that ability goes away? Is she going to stay with you if something goes down? Anton, when my wife and I got engaged, I wore my wedding ring on my right hand. On the day of our wedding, I took the ring off of my right hand and placed it on the left one. Okay, all right. And so you didn't really have to. Um, so you didn't really have to. It's like you didn't have to do too much there. Pop culture walked out 10 years. I got. Oh, so after 10 years, you got to blink that. That's not a bad strategy either. See if she'll deal with the inexpensive ring, and when you're with her for a while, I mean, that's a you gave her an upgrade. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's a smart move to make also. Um, is to see that that she's going to be worth it long term. So again, that's a great strategy that I didn't think about. But yeah, you can always upgrade a ring if she wants it. Now, my wife, she's happy. She's never wanted it because I even talked about one time. It's like, hey, would you want to get a larger diamond or something like that? She was like, no. She's very content with it. It's just over a carat, like 1.07 carats or whatever, and she's happy. I mean, it doesn't, she doesn't need any more bling to it, so to speak, and she just, she's good with it.
Oh, it goes back to what I was saying before. Not every woman is like that. Your wife, Mrs. Pop Culture Warrior, for example, is like that too. There are a lot of women who don't care how expensive it is. It's you put the time and thought in it. If you only pay 5K, let's say 5 grand for it, they'll be happy about it. If you only
Mhm,
put only $150 into it, they'll be happy with it. It didn't matter how much money you dropped into it. It's because you put the time and effort to think about them and you
mhm,
processed it. You didn't just go, okay, meeny, miny, mo. You just picked like a $20 ring off a catalog. No, you put time and effort and think about it.
mhm.
And
Yeah.
honestly, like Amazon has some nice rings out these days too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of online ring makers. Now they're making these rings out of like stone, volcanic stone, or what. I mean, really nice looking rings. Very handsome rings that they're making them out of now. And I know like people are moving away from gold and silver. They're doing like the black onyx rings right now. I mean, that's a pretty popular sort of selection. So yeah, you have options. But let me get to the story. So there was a woman that I work with. This might have gone back maybe 20 years ago. And again, we were all kind of friendly in the office, but for some reason she thought this was worth sharing. So her husband at the time, when he had proposed to her, he did the formal thing. He got on one knee, opened up the ring box, and asked, will you marry me? And the first thing out of her mouth was, "Can't you do better than that?" The first thing out of her mouth
Wow,
was, "Can't you do better than that?"
she has some nerve.
And I guess the guy was undeterred. So he went, got another ring, and presented it to her, and she accepted. Now, a couple years later, she's washing dishes and she's looking at her ring and she's thinking, you know what? I don't like this ring anymore. She's telling us this. I don't like this ring anymore. So as she's washing the dishes with the ring on, she decides to kind of let the ring slip off and let it go down the drain. This is the second ring. And then she goes to her husband saying, "Oh, I lost my wedding ring." And the guy goes and gets her another ring. Again, a nice one because she got bored with the last one. So she's telling me this, and I'm just thinking in my head, I didn't share it, but I think you're one of the most awful people I've ever met in my life. Now, needless to say, I don't think they're married anymore. Thank God for him, for his sake. But I was just so floored by that. And again, but I don't think she's like not the only one. where again you have ladies having these requirements, just like the woman who won't go to eat at Cheesecake Factory for a first date or anything else. All these standards are being amped up to such a degree where they have these demands in terms of the size of the ring and the cut and the price range. And if you're not willing to put that on her finger, you're not worth it, and you can't afford her. And and unfortunately there is a market. Look, if you wanted them dime pieces and you can get these NBA players and these athletes and they'll spend six figures on the ring or more, if you think you can bag one of them, then go ahead. But it's like this mindset has sort of filtered down, and now you have a lot of women where that's an expectation. Now, again, with my daughters, I only got one who would be like, I don't think it's necessarily the cost of the ring that would matter so much, but she definitely wants to be involved in the design of it. I don't think any of them would want to do like, the six-figure ring or whatever. I know my oldest and my youngest daughter, they don't care. Any ring that they're good with. My middle one, she's a little bit of a diva. But again, I don't think she wants to spend crazy money. But again, how it looks and shape, she's like that. She just likes style. She's a fashion maven, and she would, she wants, certain things. But I don't think she'd break the brother down. But, but yeah, So when I heard that just really that just really floored me when I heard that. And yes, Eric, I won't use your language, but yeah, I thought this is a horrible person. I couldn't stop thinking about it, but again, I had to work with her. I had to keep it professional, and I had to, just keep it going. But she was just sharing this openly, like, yeah, that's who I am. So I'm like, okay, so if I could have told a guy, if I could have, found a way to get the message that, yeah, bro, she did that to you. She lost that second ring because she got bored and wanted another one from you. Yeah, I would have shared it. Maybe it would have broke up sooner. But I just couldn't believe that story though when I heard it. Anton, it says one company that makes wedding bands from In Ridge. Yep, I've heard of that company. Another one that makes great selection is Groove Life. I've bought from them, but usually I use Kalo, Qalo, is oftentimes what I've used to buy rings with. And again, certainly, but they all kind of serve the purpose. Really, it depends on if they have a Christmas sale or after Christmas sale or something like that. I may pick up another, but I think my stock is pretty full at this point. Like I said, I don't think I have to invest too much more. I mean, I think, yeah, I got I got quite a few here. So there's not much more I can sort of add to this ring collection. I got every color in the rainbow here pretty much, and I got certain rings for different accessories. This shirt that I was wearing today, so I'll wear like sometimes this ring. This is like a burgundy color, so it kind of goes with my shirt. Or I can certainly go with the military green. That kind of goes with it as well. So again, I can put this on. Again, it's all silicone kind of rings. Again, wearing when I'm working out or doing whatever. And so again, so for me, it's just about accessorizing. It's not a big deal to me. But for a lot of people, again, wedding rings or engagement rings, it's a big deal. And I'm just saying to myself, it's like, what are you guys thinking about certainly for the long term? And like I said, I do think, it's romantic when you can say, oh, well, this is a ring that my grandmother had or something like that, and you want to present that. I think that's a beautiful thing. But again, I can't think of too many women who before that today, they have these expectations of it. But if you can find a woman who's not so caught up on what the ring is or whatever, then yeah, maybe that's the one for you. But if she's too materialistic, she might not be the one for you.
When you need to drop all that money just to make her happy, I don't think it's worth it at that point. I learned my lesson the hard way. That's all, half of my, relationship was like, oh, I want this, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. And a couple times I looked at like, wait, what about me? I need clothes, I need shoes, I need this. It's rare when I had to spend money, and that was an argument. Like, oh, you don't really need this. You're always working. Like, yeah, I kind of need clothes, like I need new work shoes. I'm wearing the same shoes for a year. Like work shoes, I should not be wearing more than 6 months because how much I'm wearing them.
Yeah.
But the point am I trying to get to is, do you really want to be with someone like that, Paul? I thought, let's say you were not married and it was like that. You were in that situation. She lost her ring on purpose.
Yeah, I mean, but again, the guy's ignorant of that. He didn't know. He just thought it was an accident. I'm sure he was upset, but again, the guy loved her. I mean,
One time I can see an accident. I can get that.
Mhm.
Second time? A third time? Now you're just being stupid, in my opinion.
Well, again, for me, the red flag would have been with the first one, and when she said, "Can't you do better than that?" That would have been the red flag to me off the bat.
Absolutely.
What?
Now, let me ask you a question. All right, you've been
Yeah.
in your wife for a while now. Let's say,
Mhm.
God forbid, something happens. She loses her ring. How will she react?
She'd be devastated. She'd be devastated. I mean, like I said, I think I've outgrown it. I think certainly I was pissed with the initial loss of it and whatnot, and it really kind of bothered me for some time. And that's why I was thinking about should I replace it? Should I replace it? And but again, the time was never right for it at the time because again, I was my kids had $20,000 of braces in their mouths, so it was like other priorities had always taken place, and she was kind of pipped for some time that I did lose it. Um, but again, we got over it. I mean, she's not someone who kind of holds on to things, certainly for too long. But she's very attached to her rings, though. She loves her ring. She loves doing the bet, bat it out, just show. Oh, here's my. She used to do this all the time. It's like, oh, here's my, yes, I'm married. I'm off the market. Here's my rings and whatnot. And ladies saying, oh, that's a nice ring. So for I know early on she used to do that a lot. But yeah, I think she would be her, but we get over it. Or like in her case, like if she wanted another ring, then I would have no problem in getting her another ring or another set of rings, if in fact that did happen. But me, I think I'm much more removed from it in that it's not going to affect me one way or another. Doesn't affect how I care about her. Doesn't affect I, in my case, like our marriage, like I said, I don't feel any less married whether I have a ring or not. But I do like going out and I do like having a ring on. I do. But it's not for any. It's not even for like any Christian kind of thing or like any kind of religious thing or what have you. It's just a mark. It's just a sign.
It's a sign you're off the market, pretty much.
Yeah. And that's it. Now I do know you do have some predators out there who actually look for wings, right? Men and women. Like, trust me, I've gotten more compliments as a married man than when I was single. And I remember one time I talked to Mandrell about that as well. He's like, when he got married, it's like all the women coming after him.
It's funny you said that because when I was engaged, that's what it's the exact same thing happened to me. Like,
yeah,
when like people that they wouldn't give me a second chance in life, all of a sudden they're like hitting on me, like, yo, like, what are you doing after this? I'm like, going home to my fiance. You should stop by and help me, move the couch. I'm like, no, I'm good.
yeah.
Like, it was a lot of it. Like, just because this was on my ring.
Yeah,
I know when
someone said because basically you were chosen. And again, a lot of people they get if someone decides to choose you, then there must be something to you. Whereas if they don't see a ring or whatever, it's like who wants you? You know what I mean? So again, I've seen again guys in the chat. If you've been married, Anton, you've been married for a minute. Was that the case with you? When did you get more attention when you had a wedding ring on than when you didn't have a wedding ring on? Did that happen to you as well?
sometimes, dude, I just want to get like a like $50 plain band just to experiment if this actually is a thing. If you have a ring and all of a sudden all these women come attracting them, I'm like, wow, this is a powerful ring.
Mhm. Yeah. But then
I'm
I know
like,
dudes. Now, again, I've known some predatory dudes who go after married women because in their mind, they believe it's safer in that they don't want anything for you. Like if she's single or whatnot, she wants to cling to you, she wants to marry you, she wants to, be with you or whatever. The wayward wife, she just wants to fling with you and that's it. She's gonna go back to her life and family and whatnot. You're just a plaything for a while, and a lot of guys look for that. So again, they're not looking to have anybody committed to them, whatnot. So for some guys, I think it was even a James Bond quote. He was like, "I only like to get with married women." I think it was in Casino Royale. He talked about he basically had a thing for married ones because again, there's in their minds there's a security that's there, that they only want the sex, and then once it's over, then they go back to their lives, and you go back to yours. So I have seen some guys, or if they see a ring, it's like, look, that don't mean nothing. They gonna ask, you, gonna follow up, are you happy? Yes, I see you're married, but are you happily married though? So I've seen those kind of exchanges also, where folks would just be dogged and determined. But I think it can happen for men and women. They see you and how you operate and whatnot, and they'd be like, oh, he must be a keeper. So let me shoot my shot and see, if he's really happily married or not. So I've seen it both ways, bro.
And I seen it at the bars and everything. Like, a lot of guys go, then you have that little group of girlfriends are just hanging out, having a few drinks, or they're married, or they're at a bachelorette party or whatever. And when my buddies looked at it, like, they all have rings. Like, so easy pickings. And go like, what do you mean easy pickings, bro? I'm like, he got rejected pretty hard. And I'm like, listen, if you're trying to bark up this tree, you're barking up the wrong tree that went toward him. I started laughing at him. I'm like, dude, I told you fucking up. Like, you guys can like your ass whooped by it one of these days. Yeah. But you're right. There are a lot of people who go for it one way, because a lot of times, even a lot of men will think, yo, maybe she's miserable in her marriage. She's not happy.
Yeah.
She might just want a quickie and move on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, things like that happen. Maybe the husband can't perform. He's a good provider, but he can't please her or whatever. So she just wants to, kind of get her, jollies, and then go back to married life because he's good everywhere else. And I think this is a great point that Anton makes, is like, yes, that yes, he does get more hit on with his reign, because women see it as the one thing that they're seeking, which is stability. So again, your attraction quotient goes up quite a bit when you are married, and so so that's also something that comes with it. But yeah, I mean, if my wife wanted to to upgrade or replace a ring or whatever, certainly I don't mind doing that. But like I said, for me, like I say, if I can get if the Thanos snap and the ring just magically appears and whatnot, I'd be happy. But it doesn't rule me. It doesn't.
So, Paul, you didn't say how you lost your ring.
We was at like an event or concert or something like that. I went to the bathroom to wash my hands and whatnot, and came back. And again, with that ring, and it was a big ring, so you had to take it off. I was always, I would wash my hands, 4 or 5 times a day. So you take it off, wash, put it back on or whatever. But sometimes you're not in a hurry, you're trying to get back to something or whatever. And I just left and came back, and I was like, oh, where's my ring? And I went back, tried to find, I couldn't find it. I was like freaking out and stuff. And it was just one of those things that, but again, I had tendencies to do that. But even at work, one time, the HR kind of came one time, and she was like, "Oh, we found your ring in the bathroom." So it was like, so I had to, and then she gave me like the dirtiest look ever. It's like, I can't believe you lost your ring, So she was really pissed at me when I did that. But again, it wasn't malice. It wasn't, something I was looking to do. It just happened.
It just happened, yeah. Personally, when I had my ring, I never took it off when I washed my hands during the day. The only time I took it off when I got home, do a thorough cleaning, what I'm saying? Because, obviously bacteria builds under it.
Yeah.
But I never lost it when I was with her for.
Like I said, mine was so thick, like I couldn't even close my hand completely. Like it was wide. So like even trying to like do this, I couldn't do that with the ring on. If I did, it would hurt. That's how wide it was. So again, washing your hands. Yeah. What's that?
You guys got 2 big earrings, didn't you guys?
Yeah, I mean, the guy, he just sides up. He took that one ring and he just built off it. He built, like I said, my ring, and he built the wedding her wedding band off of the main ring, and it had diamonds in it. It had about 8 diamonds across the top, and like I said, it was a really certainly I appreciate the ring. In fact, what I probably should have did was, now I don't mind wearing it with a chain. You know what I mean? So instead of having around my neck. Yeah, exactly.
A lot of guys do that these days.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, that's an option that I would have considered, because now I started wearing, again, I went through a period where I didn't wear any necklaces or chains or whatever. And then I kind of went back to kind of started doing that again. So, yeah, so that would have been a nice option if I could have taken advantage of it. Now, especially when you're working out and stuff like that. Yeah. And you don't want to like put it down, or say you're at the gym, you take it off. Like I wouldn't even, in fact, when I was going to the gym, I wouldn't even wear a ring to the gym because again, for that very reason, I didn't want to lose it. But yeah, but this ring, it's thick. I mean, like I said,
You can't see
she's
that in a
holding my
picture.
hand, and she's probably hurt my hand at this point because again, on both sides, it's kind of digging into you a little bit. And again, when you're washing your hands, those diamonds are kind of rubbing up against you. So it was kind of, like I said, it was kind of bulky. But yeah, I mean, really, like I said, I think at this point, like I said, I'm over it because, like I said, even if I did get the exact ring, if I showed this picture to somebody and they did the exact ring, it still wouldn't feel the same than before. And I would just rather, just kind of do what I do now. Like I said, my wife and I, like I said, we're good. And
So, 2 things on this. Like,
mhm,
I see a lot of men that with their rings, they stop wearing it after a while. And they're married for like 10, 15 years. Slowly, they just ends up on their dresser or somewhere else. Some are
mhm,
safe, they didn't lose it. And just they stop wearing it for multiple reasons. They've been married for so long, and really the ring is not a big deal anymore like they used to be.
mhm.
And the second thing, like I know you're not a facial hair person, but think of the Amish, bro. Like they grow the beard out. They don't even wear jewelry at all.
Mhm.
That's the symbolism of marriage. They literally stop shaving. The beards symbolize how they're married.
Really?
Hmm.
But this is in Greek culture. This
No, Amish.
an Amish
Yeah,
culture.
they don't believe
Well,
in.
yeah. Well, speaking of that, well, yeah, because those guys also like they don't. That in fact, that was the only group that I saw that didn't give wedding rings because they don't
They
believe in
don't believe in
jewelry at
jewelry.
all, at any
Yeah,
jewelry whatsoever.
or
So that was the
showering.
only. But again, Muslims give wedding rings. Indians, they're really big on jewelry. So again, they give rings. But and like I said, most Christian denominations that I could find, except for like I said, the Amish, maybe a few very conservative other Mennonite groups, Jehovah's Witnesses give wedding rings. And like I said, I just thought it was interesting because again, everyone's talking about holidays and their pagan origins. But as we saw tonight, I mean, these came from a pagan type of place. You had an earlier commenter, and he had said that he had heard that they were given, this one user shout out to HDAM 3587. As I've heard, it's a Saturnian belief that you were married before the god of Saturn, the Lord of the Rings. So I guess it was supposed to represent Saturn's rings or whatnot. But whatever the tradition or the mythology behind it, it didn't come from something where God said, okay, you need to give your wife a wedding ring or wedding bands or whatever it was. I mean, the whole idea is something that has sprung out of pagan origins. But again, people repurposed it, which is really where my general approach is when it comes to all these things, holidays, traditions, and whatnot. Again, unless there's some sort of hardcore prohibition against it, then I don't see a problem with it. But just like anything else, never take anything to excess because it's not. So, so Eric, I think he was put off. I have a good night, Eric. He wasn't happy with the he was submitted. I guess that last story that I told was the last straw. But thanks for stopping all through tonight anyway, though. But yeah, but it's like anything else, what holidays you practice or what cultural practices that you do or whatnot. I don't think that, you have to leave all that stuff at the door because you became a Christian. And you're like, well, if it's not in the Bible or whatever, then we don't do it or something. I mean, there's people who are like that. But like I said, wedding rings aren't there. Yet people do them. And what harm? I mean, if again, if you treat it with the right perspective, that it is a sign of your commitment to your spouse. But again, that should be a sign of something that should already be there. Like I said, I don't need a ring to know that I'm married. All I need is my marriage certificate. And even with that, I have to, certainly honor the certificate and the commitment that I made to her before God. And so with that, I'm good with it. Ring or no ring. that is still my wife, and there's nothing I wouldn't do for her, and she's come to accept that as well. That hey, if it happens, if we come in some money and yeah, you want to play some, but like I said, the more I think about it, it's like I don't know, I wouldn't have that ring. If I was sentimental about anything, it was that ring because that was the one that was there. In fact, the only thing I still have of her that for my birthday before we got married, that before I proposed to her,
Mhm.
she got me a watch. She got me a nice a watch, and she engraved on there, and on the back of it, it says "All My Love," and it has my birthday on there and whatnot. I still have that, and I still wear that watch regularly because that's the closest thing, probably to the ring that I still have. And like I said, I'm good with it. Um, uh, as far as my security in my relationship. So no. So I mean, if you're asking the question, if you think your marriage is going to be troubled by the loss of a ring, then maybe you and her need to have a conversation about what's really important. And material things will go. Some people look, if you gain 50 pounds, you might not be able to fit your rings. You might have to get them resized because again, you can't wear it anymore. Shout out again, pop culture. Thanks for coming outside. Yeah, you shoveling snow. I'm waiting till tomorrow. I'm waiting for it's all. I got my snow blower gassed up and ready to go. I got my driveway cleared out. So again, when all that ends, I'm gonna get out there tomorrow morning. I'm gonna conquer it that time. But I'm sitting this one out, bro. But yeah, but make sure you use your legs when you're shoveling out there. Don't hurt your back too much.
Yeah, he has a bad back too. He better
Wear
be
a back
careful.
brace and don't get too crazy with the shoveling out there. Use good technique. But again, appreciate you listening.
I got a feeling I'm
during the
gonna
show.
get a phone call on Tuesday, like or a text saying, "I blew my back out again," and I'm like, "Jesus Christ, Mike, you never learn. You never learn."
Yeah,
Or his wife is gonna be screaming at him, like, "I told
yeah,
you, use your legs."
yeah. But it's, I want to go back to what you were saying about like over years, like guys stop wearing their rings after a while. I'm not saying it's to me, it's not a hard tell, but it could be a sign of um maybe like accepting status quo, but not necessarily marital bliss.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people, it's not. I think it's rare, like when somebody says, "Okay, you were cheating on me or whatever, or you did something so crazy that I'm leaving you." I think a lot of people split up over drift. You know what I mean? Like little things that if they're not addressed, you kind of drift apart, kind of over time, and you find yourself in a place where it's like, do I really need to wear a wedding ring at this point, or do I really need to do these things or whatever? I'm not saying it's a hard because I think there are some that just get again, you just get so comfortable with the person you feel like you don't need to earn their if not their love or their devotion anymore. You're just again, guys, we can get very comfortable in
Really
our
fast.
in our in our spaces. It's regular, it's a part of us or whatnot, and it's just become normalized. And that's why I think sometimes I think you do need to invest in your relationship. I mean, like I said, my wife and I, we got back to, we have date nights, at least a couple times a week. Again, we go out on dates. I know we're going to a comedy show this coming Friday. And yeah, so I mean, we still put time in to be together and whatnot. So I still believe in dating as long as we've been married. There's nothing wrong with putting that kind of time into each other. You still got to get dressed up, and you want to look nice. I want to look nice for her. She
Mhm.
wants to look nice for me. We want to be the hot couple or whatever. And again, but we do get noticed. And it's not that we're doing it for that reason, but again, I want to look good for her. That's why I still work out the way that I do. I want to be strong and fit and attractive for her. I don't want that flame to go out. So I think putting that time and investment in is much more important than the tokens that you have. So that's what I'm saying. I would give that sort of a soft sign that are things really good between you guys, or you guys just used to each other. But are you still putting time in to demonstrate that yes, you're still my honey, you're still my baby, I still love you, I still want you, are you putting those things into it so that because when I put, when I go out or when she puts out, I mean, she, it's like she's saying to the world, like, yeah, this is my man. I am taken. And she likes that. She likes the idea, even the idea of not, I wouldn't say ownership, but yeah, but I'm, yeah, I'm his and he is mine. I mean,
And that's the point of the
and
ring.
I
Most
like
people,
that. I
right?
mean, I'm taken, and that doesn't limit me as a man or diminish me as a man or whatnot. No, I'm you want to say ball and chain or what, or all those kind of tropes or whatnot. I'm good with it, you know. And if a ring kind of helps to signify that or secure that, then I'm good with it also. So again, for the like going back to my earlier point about the Christians with people, you're so anti paganism or whatever. Like I said, if you're going to be that hardcore about it, you can get rid of your wedding ring then, because that's a very pagan thing. But again, we have the right, just like words change meaning over time, right? You have the ability to rework something and make it something that fits your cultural norm. And I think that's what happened with the wedding rings, certainly in Christian culture. And again, like I said, I got no problem with it. But when you start putting the signs over the substance, now you may have a problem. And overspending, not thinking about the future, not putting in about, commitments, as my man Sean was saying earlier. You're going to spend all that money on a ring and a wedding. What about the house? What about, just investments? If you want to have a family, starting a 529. There's so many different things that you can do with your money. A wedding is a one-day event, but marriage is supposed to be until death do you part. What would you rather have? And for a lot of people, they're going after the spectacle. But again, what's there to really last? To me, that's the important thing. When it comes to the sort of thing. But let's talk about you, Pete. Since you're still looking, to kind of get in the game. What do you think your next move is going to be? So again, the first time, you really didn't give a ring, a very expensive ring. The first
I give
time,
no ring the first time.
no ring the first time. Second time, you went all out, and you gave this.
Please don't remind me.
So what's gonna be the move next time? You meet the future Mrs. Laritzis, whatnot, based on your experience and maybe even based on what we talked about tonight. How are you gonna move next time?
Sorry. So I did think about this over the last couple of years since me and her ended our relationship over 5 years ago. Is it 5 years? Yeah, I think it's 5 years. Whatever. I don't care. So I'm not going to jump the gun so fast like I did last time because we were together only 6 months at the time.
Mhm.
I know you believe in that. I don't believe in that anymore because I've been burned hard.
Mhm.
So one, I'm going to wait a minimum a year on the lowest. Try to push it off even more if I can.
Sure.
Second, you can find some decent rings online now for the same cut, same everything, and they're cheaper online, like an online jeweler, to be honest with you. So something I say I spend 20K on, I could get it for 10K, half the price. Online jeweler. And I'm not talking about Amazon, I'm talking about the other companies. If you type in engagement rings for women,
yeah,
there's so many. You
Right.
just have to make sure you get the right size. That's the only thing. And they're 10K calorics, 2K, 5K, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I might look in that route, to be honest with you. Get online instead. Shop around a little more. Because I really didn't go to different jewelers. I went to Case immediately. Because, from what I asked around, like, that's one of the best jeweler places you can get. Yeah, not doing that this time. I think I'm going to shop around a little more this time.
Right. But even still, I mean, you would still spend 10K for yeah.
Not now.
All right. So again, so what kind of limits are you?
I think a maximum I think is a decent price is like probably like from talking to all my friends and everything. Nobody has spent over 5K on their ring. Nobody. I think that should be the maximum with insurance and everything. I'm talking about. I think
Right.
5K is a very fair number.
Mhm.
20K is literally a car, almost a car, if you think
Mhm.
about it.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I would never spend that kind of money like that again.
Right.
But when you
And you're comfortable with that, because I would say, like, why not spend 500, 1,000? I mean, what more with that extra 4K? What would that represent or mean to you? Um, in a relationship, 1,000 for versus 5,000. What is that all representing, both for you, and what do you think it means for her?
for me, it's just the simulation she's off the market, like I said originally. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Uh, but like we know now, that ring really means shit anymore these days. People will go after it no matter what.
Right. So why then, like I said, so why spend 5,000 when you could possibly spend 1,000?
If I can find the right ring for that price, I would. I don't have a problem with that.
Right.
If I found an exact same ring, one is from K's, one from online shopper, one is 5K, one is let's say 115. All right.
Mm.
I'll go for the one online. I'll just go to the store, get it sized up. That's the only difference.
Right.
And tell them,
Right.
I'll be back later.
Right.
Ding. Sign here. Yep. Perfect. Good.
Yeah.
That's
And
it.
what if the woman that you're with, um, if she has preferences, would you have the conversation first in terms of,
Of course.
hey, I'm thinking it's going this way. Are you going to talk about it? You know, what she wants, what setting, cut. Does she want the white diamond? Does she wants the smoke diamond? Does she wants the rose gold?
I'm a
I mean,
big
like I said, there's
believer.
so many options now. I mean, is how much would you want her to be part of the process of selecting her next ring? Because to me, the more I think about it, like I said, I took my wife more so just to kind of get, a just an idea of what, her kind of taste would be, what she would like. Like I said, and we tried on several rings. She liked the marquee cut, and she was good with it after that. And like I said, we left it alone. It was just kind of get some ideas. But now it's like when couples are going and to go into the designer and just all that extra things. I don't know if I would do that today, honestly. I just think that it's just way too much on the style over the substance. I'm like, I'll wear anything. Look, I'll wear, I don't need diamonds. Like the ring that I had, you could have put cubic zirconium in
Mhm.
there, and I would have been good with it. Like, it didn't, because I'm getting her, I'm getting the marriage, I'm getting the family, I'm getting all that. This, as much as I miss it, if it was cubic zirconia in there instead of those diamonds, it wouldn't change anything for me. So that's what I'm saying. So, what does $5,000 mean to you in terms of what you think you're giving? Or if you, like I said, if the ring was $1,000, or if you set your limit, I'm only going to spend $1,000 on a wedding ring, and that was like your hard cap. Could you get there, or why does the 5K number still kind of resonate in your mind? Because it seems like from what I'm hearing, the 5K number seems to be like, yeah, like that's a good number, or like you said, based on what your friends have told you, that's what the number should be. But why is that a sticking point for you in terms of a
I
lower
don't think it's a
threshold
sticking
for a
point,
ring?
Paul. I'm just throwing a number out there right now because I'm not there.
Right.
I just blab the number out. I'm like, I say 5K. It's what I see they usually go for. But I
Right.
seen them recently, even when you were talking, I was just doing a quick search to see how much they're going for. I'm just curious. I seen them up to a fucking what's it called it, $1,500. I seen them 500, 600, 800.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I just
Right.
threw a number
So
out
you're
there.
not fixated on the price. You're just general ballpark, but you'd
Yeah,
be very
ballpark.
comfortable with
Yeah, like if I know she's the one, it wouldn't make a difference how expensive the ring is.
mhm,
It's coming from the heart, and because I love her.
mhm.
That's what should be more the symbol behind it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because why would it make a difference how much the price of the ring? Simple. Except
Yeah.
she's planning, throw them in the curve later, and she's going to sell it off to make money. That's the only time it would make a difference.
Yeah. Shout out, I got
And
Shawnee Pete. I
good.
think if she gives you a preference, Men just have to be determined to see if it's feasible. You want to give her a good ring, but you don't want to go broke behind it. Absolutely. Facts. 100%. Like I said, general guidelines, and they could be just in casual conversation. Maybe you're looking at a magazine with a De Beers ad in it, and it says, "Oh, look at those different cuts of diamonds. Which one do you like?" I tend to, I like the marquee. I like the diamond. I like certain cuts or whatever. And you basically just kind of keep a mental note to yourself as far as, okay, she likes this. Okay, noted. And again, if the opportunity presents itself, if things are going well, you think this is the direction that you're moving in, then again, you can recall those conversations or whatnot and give a general ballpark. But I think if she's like insistent on she wants this setting and this cut and this and that and all those things, and it's to the exact thing, and and if you go to the dealer, he's always going to try to sell you the more expensive option. It's like, well, you can go with $5,000 ring, but here's a $1,500 ring or whatnot. But they always.
That's why I said online. I think is more a better option.
Mhm.
To be honest with you, versus going to the store.
Mhm.
To be straight up with you.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you talk about custom, right? So you talk about customizations. I mean, they'll take your fitness, because again, you may know what your ring size is, but again, depending on the company, just like clothing for that matter, a large is not always a large based on where it comes from. You know what I'm saying? So if you want that kind of more personal attention, certainly going to a private jeweler may be a better option. But and again, I like dealing local. Like I said, that couple, they had a small little shop. It wasn't one of the big guys. It wasn't K Jewelers or anything like that. It was just a local establishment, and those guys, said they were pretty upfront and honest with us about what they had to offer, and they didn't break the bank on us. So so again, I think that just being smart in this time, rings, again, they can be a great sign of what you have. But as Shawnee was saying, the idea, it's about what is coming. And again, you made an earlier comment, again, weddings are about flash and attention. Marriage is where the actual work takes place, and many people romanticize marriage. I tell people you'll face harder issues when you are married than single. Again, that's where really things are. So again, if you're putting your focus in the right places, then you stand a much greater chance of having success. But here's where we are, and I think we can kind of start certainly landing this plane. But first, I want to thank Pete for sharing, because I didn't know that until tonight, that you spent that amount of money on a ring, and again, you didn't pursue to get it back. Those are stories in themselves. But like, as I said earlier, gentlemen, I mean, if you are interested in knowing, again, the rules in your state, again, I'll just show them once again. So again, the areas in green, so again, I know, Shawnee, you're in Texas. So in Texas, in purple, again, you get the ring back only if she breaks off the engagement. Whereas the ones in green, if it just doesn't go through altogether, the ring must be returned. So again, know the laws that are in your state, and then the ones in red, they don't have any established precedent. So you may or may not get it back, depending how it goes. If she just wants to spite you or sell it or destroy it or whatever it is, So if you're in any one of these states, definitely know the laws, and then proceed to proceed with caution in terms of how you move. But yeah, Texas, yeah, she has to break it off, assuming that you gave her the ring in order for you to get the ring back. So just be mindful of those laws in your state. But like I said, I don't think this has to be something that people should overspend time on. And again, don't be swayed by social media that says, oh, well, this guy spent $250,000 on our engagement ring and whatnot. Again, more times than not, those relationships don't last and really don't go anywhere. So it's not the ring. It's about, again, it's the commitment, it's the covenant that you decide to make with the one that you're marrying. And can you honor the covenants that you made? And I think that's, if we can have people thinking more in those directions, and I think everybody would be a lot better off when it comes to that. And don't be so, like I said, when it comes to any of these customs and traditions, again, don't be so hardcore about it that it becomes an issue as well. But like I said, we can start to certainly land this plane. Pete, I'll turn it over to you as we start to get into some final thoughts on this topic. But I just want to kind of finish this out, and then we'll certainly going forward, we'll get into some other topics. But I thought the last 2 weeks, I think I've enjoyed these shows. In terms of but the outcome is generally the same. It's nothing wrong with celebrating or honoring on a certain day or certain tradition. Just don't make an idol of it. And I think if you do that, I think everybody does well. But what say you, sir?
I think you should be smart with what you buy her. If she's really worth it, she will take a $20 ring versus a $20,000 ring. The price tag shouldn't be the it factor. Is you selecting it from your heart? It should be the factor. If she says that's it, or you can't do better than that, like you're sorry, Paul, not worth it. She's a gold digger. You should go buy her a shovel and present that for a ring instead. Give her a shovel and start digging. And that's it.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, again, we certainly want to thank you guys for being with us tonight. I think we can certainly land a little bit early tonight. The goal is certainly to keep the show in the 2 hours. But, again, appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Appreciate Shawnee, my guy Shawnee. Again, make sure you follow us, 101 Sports, here on the Black Man Unfiltered Network, Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we go over the world of sports. So, again, we got the Combine coming up next week. We just had the Team USA hockey. Shout out to Team USA. Beat Canada for the first time to win Olympic gold. First gold medals for the Team USA since 1980. In fact, the same day that they won back in 1980, they captured the gold this morning. I watched the game this afternoon, because the game came out at 8 a.m. in the morning. I was in church, so I didn't get a chance to see it. So again, going to chop that up about Team USA and the future of certainly U.S. hockey. Hopefully, I got Anton. He's a huge hockey fan. Look out for him because he's going to be dropping hopefully some shows real soon, and he's going to be talking about certainly hockey. He's a huge hockey fan. And so, in fact, me and him were kind of going back and forth because this is really the only time where I really kind of get into hockey, Olympic hockey, or like I said, when the New Jersey Devils are relevant, I kind of get into hockey a little bit. But so hopefully we'll have some things to talk about this coming Wednesday. So make sure you follow us, certainly at that time. But yeah, certainly we want to appreciate you guys. Just make sure as you leave tonight, make sure you hit the like button, both again on the Black Man Unfiltered Network. But again, show some love. Go over to Sparta HQ Network. That's also simulcasting this show. Drop a like button over there as well. Help us go to algorithm, and consider becoming subscribers to both platforms, because again, I think each platform has something unique to give, and I think certainly there's insights that you can gain on both channels. So consider becoming subscribers to that. It really helps us out as well, and we can do that. Again, Pete dropped his link in the chat. You can certainly do that as well. So again, I'm gonna start the put the landing gear down. But any final thoughts, Pete, before we close out?
Go across the plane.
I do my best. But for myself, Mr. Bennett, and he is
Sparta!
the Ghost of Sparta, a.k.a. Peter, a.k.a. Panayotis. This is the gray area on the Black Man Unfiltered Network, simulcast going to Sparta HQ. Enjoy your week. For those in the Northeast, I know Anton, we're going to be digging out some serious snow over the next day or two. So again, don't throw out your back in doing it. Just be safe out there on the road. Listen to what they're saying as far as staying off the roads. Let the guys be able to do their jobs, and so hopefully everybody stays safe and whatnot, and as you keep power and all that kind of stuff through this storm. And hopefully, God willing, this will be the last storm of the year before we get a warning trend as we start to get into March and the spring months. And so certainly appreciate you guys being here tonight. For myself, for Pete, this is the gray area. Take care. God bless. And we'll see you next time. Good night.
At some point, we all got to come together. No. Yeah. Everybody got opinions. Let's talk about it. Communication is key. let's build around it. We do this for the people found it. Black love, stay strong, no way around it. We anti-genocide, we ride for the cause. Got love for our sisters, and love for our dogs. Respect the young and elderly, you all been invited to be inspired. Come together, better God violent. Gotta watch for the cops, gotta watch for the ops, gotta watch for the politicians that play with the odds. If you know, then you know. Plant the seed and it grows. Welcome to the show. This is what we know. 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 This is what we know.